carried me to this place. It made me feel alive. It made me chase a dream. It made me love people who open doors for me. It's really hard for me not to hug them sometimes because I feel such joy. I want everybody to feel this way. And you don't have to believe me. You don't have to, you know, I can just be the crazy lady with the science projects on her counter for you, but these foods will get to you eventually. They will bug you until you make them. That's just the way it works. With my friends that said I had a food cult, they called me the pickle lady. They said I was doing crazy science experiments that were going to kill people. I had all kinds of things. Those people fell the hardest. So watch out, because they are the ones that became my biggest advocates, because they were really needing these foods and they didn't need it. And it's a wonderful thing to feel well. And I want this to be your never-ending quest to start to feel good, because when you feel good, you find a life that you did not know, because that is what happened to me. And it is blowing my mind, and it gets better and better. I never wanted to get out of bed and have my feet hit the floor and feel like this, but now I do. And it is my privilege to share it with you, because I want everybody to feel this way, because just to think of what we could do. I mean, it is an amazing thing when you feel good. And I think we've forgotten that. I didn't even know what it was like to feel like this, because I'd never felt this way before. So I want to teach you about my special foods that I make, and make my husband buy me 4 refrigerators to keep in my refrigerators, because I make so much, and thousands of fermenting jars. But these foods will change your life. They are simple, they are easy, they are 1,000 times easier than canning, and you are going to love them. And we're going to have all of these foods we're going to sample upstairs with lunch. That's going to be delicious, because Mike is a genius. And you are going to find how fun and easy you're going to love making these instead of canning your food. So the first thing, I have given everybody some recipes. And it's what happens with me. I do this a lot. I think the first recipe on here is the cultured pico, the peach one. This is kind of what happens to me. When I make recipes, I tend not to make them all the time. I don't want to go into something new. It drives my husband crazy. I can't tell you how many times we've eaten a meal and he said to me, I like this so much and I'm never going to get it again, because I'm constantly thinking of something new. Well, I did that with this recipe. On this pico recipe, I added cucumber to it, and it tastes so much better. So it's not on here, but if you want, you can add a cucumber to this, and I love the taste. It's really good. So we are going to make that, and I'm going to show you how. Now, the first thing you need to do when you make cultured vegetables is you need to get some kind of vessel to culture it in. You don't have to have special equipment. Do not let anybody scare you and say you have to buy fancy equipment, because it just isn't true. There's a lot of things going around on the internet that says you have to culture your vegetables in this thing right here called an airlock. I love this jar, but it is not something you have to culture vegetables. They're saying it's unsafe if you don't do it, which is ridiculous. But of course, they're the manufacturers of the jar. So follow the money when in doubt. However, I love these jars, because they do make really great cultured vegetables, because they keep the air out. You put a little bit of water in here, and you place your cultured vegetables in here with your culture. And so as the air, it ferments, as the air, it goes up into here and gets trapped in the water, and so it keeps air out. So it makes them really, really crisp and taste really good. But it is not absolutely necessary. And you can find these on my site. I use these 1,000,000 times to 1, the canning jars. And I love the plastic lids, but you can use metal. It's best to use plastic, and you can get these at Walmart. You know, I love these if you have canning jars. And my husband found me, Ball's has their 100th anniversary, and they have blue vintage Ball jars. He got me 30 of them, he was so proud of himself, from a flea market. And I guess they're coming out with the quart ones too, but these are all over my house now. It's ridiculous, and I got a lot of these in the refrigerator. So these are just out for a limited time. If you like these, they're fun to get, and they're going to come out with the quart ones, I guess, pretty soon. So that's for their 100. Can you believe they've been around 100 years? So these are one of my other favorites. These are called wick jars. Have you seen how cute these are? A lady on my website made me the little pots on my site. She's a graphic designer. She's somebody who came to my class and made me these pots. Well, she designed it off of these jars, and I didn't know it. And then I found these jars, and so I love them. They're special to me. I also like these clamp down jars. I love these. These are probably the ones I use the very most, besides these. And you can even get these at TJ Maxx and Marshall's. They have these. They're great. You can also get them on my site, but they're wonderful for fermenting, and they do a great job. So you're going to need a jar, and then what you're going to need your vegetables, but you're also going to use a culture. You do not need to use a culture if you're making sauerkraut with cultured vegetables. And where is my, here it is. I like, this is my absolute favorite and the thing that I use all the time. It's really, I don't do anything else. You can use kefir whey, which is the whey that drains out of kefir. Have you ever made yogurt where you drain the whey off of it? You do the same thing if you're making kefir. You drain the whey off. You can use that as a culture. I don't like it as well as this because it tends to get an off taste because it's so, so, so strong. But this is my favorite, and because I met the people who made this, and I thought they were feeding me a line. And this is just culture packages. It's just a dry culture that you place in. It's super easy. But what it does is it makes the bacteria levels, because of the types of cultures in it, stay at a higher level longer in your fridge. And I know this because they bubble and hiss. I can hear them. And I've also seen a lot of flus and colds and things like that knocked out with these, as contrast to the other ones not as quickly. The other ones work, but not as well as these. So I've really become a convert for these. And the nice thing is, like, you use one little package, and one package will make another gallon, and maybe another gallon after that, until it stops getting bubbly. So they're really very cost effective too. They make a lot. And I bought a bunch of them because for you guys if you want to buy some, but I also bought them because I make so many cultured vegetables in the summertime. So, but this is my favorite, and you can find this on my site, or you can, I brought some here today too. So, and also there's a couple local places in Independence that carries it. Nature's Pantry carries it, and so does Nature's Market. So they carry it too. Yes? Yes, these will last like over a year in your fridge. If you leave these in the fridge, they'll last over a year. So these really will last a long time. Like one box will last some people a year because they really, they're just great, and they make a lot. Like for instance, with pickles, I'll use some of this to make pickles, and then I keep remaking the batch using the brine from it, and it works really well because how strong this is. And you'll know that because they'll bubble. And I had somebody write me yesterday an email said, "It's making noises in my fridge, is that okay?" And I said, yeah, because it was really strong. And she had just put it, usually it calms down when it gets in the fridge, but they will bubble and hiss on your counter. So
is it the package you like, or the Caldwell's brand?
The Caldwell's brand. This is Caldwell's. Yeah. Yes.
You're using all glass.
Glass is best. Do not use metal. You need to use glass when you make cultured vegetables. Plastic, fermentation leaches stuff out of things. Like for instance, inside of you, it kills pathogens. Well, it leaches stuff out of plastic too. So you don't want that in your food. You want glass that it's not going to do that with. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to make this this pico. Well, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to get your culture, and I'm just going to use a little bit of this culture, because I'm not using, each package makes a gallon. So I'm only going to use, I think it's 1/4 of a teaspoon. If this is enough for a couple quarts, like half the package. Yes.
If you're making less than a gallon, and you put a whole packet in?
It won't hurt it. Bacteria likes room to grow though. Less is more. Bacteria likes, people think that they need to use more that'll make it better, but it doesn't work because bacteria wants to spread and grow. So less is actually better than using more. It's just the way that it works. So we're going to take a glass of water. I just got a glass of water, and what I like to do, you don't have to do this, but this is what I like to do, and that is add a little bit of what I call raw sugar or sucanat to it to wake up the bacteria. It just helps to get started going, and by the time your vegetables are finished, the sugar is gone because the bacteria eats it. But I just put a little spoonful in there and stir it up, and it helps.
Is that kind of like when you do yeast, adding salt?
Yeah, it wakes up the bacteria. It helps it become alive. And you only need a little bit of this, and I don't even measure it, guys. I put measurements on my website because I make people crazy because I just sprinkle. I can't help it. It's just too much work for me to get out a spoon. So I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit out here, and that's plenty. You don't need a lot. It'll work. It's pretty much foolproof with bacteria if you wake it up. And just the only thing you can't do is heat it. If you heat bacteria, you kill it. And here's the cool thing about that. The only bacteria that can survive heat is botulism. And to get botulism, you have to cap off the air, like canning, and it has to be heated, and all the other bacteria die, but botulism can survive. And it has to be in like a can. You cannot get that it's scientifically impossible to have that happen with cultured vegetables. Because, first of all, you're never heating it. Second of all, the good bacteria dominate. They control the environment. Botulism can't even get a foothold because it's the only way for it to even survive is for the other bacteria to die. There's so much good bacteria in this that it's probably one of the safest things you can do. That you don't have to worry. People get really, really scared about this because it does the opposite of what other vegetables do. You know how when you see stuff rise in a can, you think it's bad? Well, it's the opposite. You want it to rise when you ferment it. That means that all the good bacteria are working and dominating and controlling the environment. And they preserve the food. And when you eat them, they preserve you. That's what's so cool about it. It makes you feel great, and you can tell a difference even from just a spoonful of the juice. Okay, so I'm going to let that sit while we go ahead and chop up our vegetables. So the first thing you guys are going to have to help me, because I don't even know my own recipe. So this is a new one. I have actually made this a couple of times now, and then I get on, see, and I already added a cucumber and changed it. So see, I'm adding a new one. So we're going to just chop up a tomato.